Alors, I think the most important is to a theater where the words is not the most important. It means the most important is the image. It's one of the things important for me. And after, I like to say that the media is about the physical theater, but at the same time, I don't like this term because maybe it's reduced a bit the theater to tell this. What I am searching for is a theater completely alive, but where I could develop a sort of poetic of the image. Mm-hmm. When we talk about pantomime, a lot of people are thinking about little story who describe a situation. But what is important for me in the art of the mime, even in pantomime, it's to develop a second vision about the situation. It means the possibility with the body, with the rhythm, with the image, to enter in the unconscious about the situation. It means when we have an actor in front of us, it's not only the action of the actor who is important, but it's also the possibility to see his thought, sa pensée. And with the mime, it's really possible. This is amazing and wonderful, and it's for this reason that I love it. When I was seeing Marceau the first time, I don't see only the story, I see behind what the personage of Bip was living into the situation, what he was dreaming, what he wanted. All of this, I think it's completely part of the art of mime. Alors, the most interesting is to work the emotion, voilà, to share the emotion to the audience. Could be an emotion really simple, or could open also memory to the audience. This language of this art, with this, it's possible with the art of mime. So I am searching all the time this, not only describe or explaining, but all the time to share something much more deeper. The less interesting, finally, it's that the audience understand the action, I think. It's reduced too much when you are thinking that the mime is only here to describe and to explain, and finally all the audience, all people in the audience will understand the same thing. This is really not interesting for me. Most of the time, I try when I'm creating a show to listen my instinct or my stomach. And I don't have answer about everything. I have a lot of questions, but a lot of time I don't have answer about my proposition. I try to find an answer, but sometimes I don't find it. But I try to listen and to trust about my instinct. And when everything is done, when the audience is into the theater, most of the time I discover what I wanted to tell and to share. I discover why I try to work. I touch some answer just at this moment. And one thing really beautiful. Generally, I do the premiere and after I leave. And when I come back 1 month, 2 months, or 1 year after, and I see sometimes another show, because I even don't remember what we have done together in details. At this moment, I am surprised about the conflict about the director. and I'm completely surprised in this moment. It's like going to the show that you don't know. I'm not sure I have really a message, and I think it's too ambitious or too proud to think that I want to share a message. Sometimes I want to ask a question, and sometimes I want to give only my opinion about this question, and I'm never sure that I win. It means I built everything, but I need to see the audience looking at the show to be sure that they can listen my opinion about something. I am clear. Yeah. I work more about details instead of message. How someone could react, how it can bring his own past, his own history to react in this way. Most of the time, the protagonist that I have on stage, it's some people that I know really or I have known before and make part of my story. So I can directing the actor because I know really well it's not a creation, it's someone that I could understand, I know the story, so I could help the actor about this. And knowing this, in his reaction, in the feeling of the protagonist, I could share my feeling about what's happened or what I want to ask. I think I come into the rehearsal room with a lot of clear idea and a lot of proposition and a lot of baggage about the story because I'm just afraid that the actor asks me something I cannot answer. I am a bit the captain of the story of the project, so I have to know where we go and how we will go. But I just have this for myself. And when I feel that the actor bring me in another direction, I'm so satisfied. At this moment, it's really wonderful because I feel at this moment that, okay, I don't have to be any more scary. I have just to follow the proposition of the actor. Finally, we say in French, metteur en scène. In English, director, but metteur en scène, put on stage, you have to put on stage the actor, so everything finally have to come from the actor. You are just here to do a puzzle. But my problem, since I am children, I am so bad in the puzzle, so I need the actor to help me. Maybe if I think about contemporary theater or old theater, it's about the freedom of the audience. I think that in the old fashion or old school or old theater, a bit more classical, all the audience understood the same story, the same vision of the story. But more we go into the art of plastic, about image, about contemporary art, more it's like a monochrome that everybody will feel something different. I don't have the pretension to do monochrome or to do contemporary things, but I try really to let the audience feel, sometimes even understand what they want. And I think the art of mime is especially strong and deep for this. Well. I think that the body in the non-verbal theater is the expression of the soul. I think it don't have to be realist. Or if is realist, it's to bring us into the surrealism. So we can say that the body is part of our language. It's not the most important, but it's like letter in our alphabet. After we have to create some words and some sentence and some book. I think when I was young, I have a problem. I still have a problem, but I have a problem to talk, to share what I was thinking, what I was feeling. I spent a lot of time alone in my room, looking by the window or the wall and create some fairy tale. And in 87, it means century before, I was going to see Marceau. And I was not into the theater world, and for me it was like the vision that I'm not alone. And the second thing is it's possible to tell so much things, to share so much emotion without telling any words. At this moment I was thinking, okay, this heart, these things will help me to be socially much more in relationship with the world. And I was just crying when I saw Marceau because of this emotion. And I understood what I am telling, I understood this later by later. Just at the moment where the curtain fall down, my only desire was not to share the word, to express my feeling, was just to spend time with this man. And it was the beginning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.